there have been various legal cases relating to the trans question in recent years, but this is the most, the Supreme Court, as the name suggests, is the most senior court. And what they have ruled is that the word woman in the Equality Act, it has a biological meaning, not a socially constructed meaning, and that has ramifications all the way down the chain in terms of case law and so on, right? So this is very important. But I think that what it really marks for me is the enormous success of the gender critical feminist movement in being so persistent in pushing on this issue and facing so much social opprobrium, and people have lost jobs, people have lost so many friendships. I mean, the personal and professional costs are enormous for people involved in this. But I think this has finally marked a moment of vindication. One of the things that we've seen in Britain, I wonder if this is true in Australia as well, maybe, is that actually if you look at polling on what people, the general public, think about the transgenderism over time, say 10 years ago, 20 years ago, people were actually better disposed towards this because they thought of it as just being nice to people who were different, kind of like being, it kind of being like homophobia, maybe people just need to be more tolerant. That was the vague view from the public who didn't really know much about this. And then actually over time, people have hardened against the trans movement. And I think that's because the demands of trans activists have been so extreme, and it's become clearer over time just how extreme they are. And people have, when they've encountered this, they've thought, oh, hang on, now this is a bit crazy. Are we really claiming that a woman is anyone who says they're a woman? Are we really claiming that there shouldn't be any such thing as a female-only space? Do we eat photos of, obviously male athletes towering over obviously female athletes within the women's category have been seen worldwide. So I think that the trans movement asked too much of the public. It asked for people to deny the truth of their own eyes and ears. And at long last, at least in Britain and hopefully elsewhere too soon, that has been repudiated.
What does it say about political leadership when your Prime Minister in Great Britain, Sir Keir Starmer, welcomes this decision for its clarity, yet he is somebody who is on the record as having said that it is wrong to say that, quote, only women have a cervix? How do we get to the point where there's a lack of clarity amongst those who lead us such that an issue like this has to be resolved by the courts? Because I think you've just alluded to it. The overreach was always going to end in tears on this one. You only have to talk to people in the streets. I know that sounds anecdotal, but the reality is that this overreach was incredibly damaging, I would have thought, to a lot of people.
Look, the human brain is extremely good at clocking the differences between men and women because there are so many different ways in which our bodies differ. Everything from how long your forearms are to how big your feet are to the shape of your hairline to the strength of your brow, your jawline, everything. There are so many different indicators of biological sex. It's actually very rare for a trans person to really pass. Particularly in person, like staged photos is one thing, but in person, the human brain is just so good at immediately clocking someone's sex. I think that a political movement that depends on people rejecting that instinct is a political movement that is doomed to fail. And the thing that I have found most disturbing about this political phenomenon, right, worldwide, is people like Keir Starmer, who, as you say, was a few years ago saying, you can't say that women have a cervix, and has now spun on a sixpence because of this ruling. I mean, I think what's going on there is that Keir Starmer has this view of as a former lawyer, a human rights lawyer at that, has a view of the courts that they just speak the truth, and whatever legal authority says must be true. And I find that disturbing, right? If political elites and media elites and academic elites and all of these people are so easily hoodwinked by this political movement to the extent that they will deny the truth of their own eyes and ears and deny the most basic biological distinction between human beings, recognized universally. Every culture knows that there are men and women. Every culture knows how babies are made, right? If our elites are willing to ignore that in order to repeat politically fashionable platitudes and then change their tune as soon as, the winds change I think that's really disturbing. And it makes me think, and this is what I say to progressive friends, like, it's quite common for gender critical people to be otherwise progressive, to basically think that the trans thing is crazy, but actually on everything else, surely the progressive position is true. And the thing that I say to people is, if they are wrong about this, what else are they wrong about?